Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, we'll hear from a former education chief on the current feud between state education agencies. Also tonight, we'll talk about cheating in sports in light of Deflategate, and we'll learn about an innovation competition co-hosted by the U.S. and Mexico. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. The State Board of Education this weekend moved out of its offices at the Department of Education and relocated to the governor's executive tower. The move is the latest in a fight that started with Superintendent of Public Instruction Diane Douglas attempting to fire two Board of Education employees. Jaime Malera has the unique perspective of having served on the board and as state superintendent, and he joins us now. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Thanks for joining us. This is something, isn't it?
It's very interesting.
Yes, let's get some basics out of the way here. First of all, are you surprised that the board moved out of their offices at the Department of Education?
I'm not, based on what happened this year, because as you recall, when Governor Ducey said, I don't believe she had the authority to fire State Board of Education employees, at the time, there was discussion about, is there a place for them to be located? If she was going to fight legally, if she was going to try and bar them from the building, they made it very clear that they wanted to have a space for them to function and do their jobs.
Are you surprised that that space is in the executive tower?
I'm not, because the governor, in a lot of ways, oversees quite a bit of activities that happens in K-12 education. The governor appoints all the board members, save Diane Douglas, who's an elected position. The governor sets the budgets, right, for all the state agencies, including the State Board of Education. So it's not surprising that they have space there in the executive tower.
Are you surprised the Department of Administration helped with the move?
No. Again, this reflects what the governor and his chief of staff, Kirk Adams, had said during this whole controversy. We need a State Board of Education to function on their job, and which is setting state standards, which is overseeing the state assessment, oversees basically state K-12 policy. And if they're going to be in a situation where they're having to deal with emails being monitored, with all kinds of bizarre activities, then they have to be in a location that they actually can do their work.
I think that the eyebrows were raised, though, and that location is with the governor, considering it seemed as though the governor and the superintendent were at odds on the issue.
Well, I think they are at odds on the issue, so I think the governor just is making it clear, look, they're an executive agency. They have to do their job effectively. And so they're going to be in a position to do it now.
Do you think that Diane Douglas did have the authority to fire those two Board of Education employees?
No, unequivocally no. When this whole controversy erupted, there was an old Attorney General's opinion that was done by Bob Corbett, and I want to say it was the late 70s, early 80s, and he made it very clear that the State Board of Education is in our Constitution. It's in the state Constitution. And so there is, according to then Attorney General Corbin, which created precedent now, he basically said this is something that is separate, and it's not reporting to the Superintendent of Public Instruction. Superintendent has a role in that. The superintendent has a vote on the board, as a member of the board, can help in the hiring and firing process, but it really is collectively the board that makes those decisions ultimately.
Okay, so does the governor have the authority to negate those particular firings?
Oh, absolutely. Well, and because the State Board of Education negated those particular firings, the State Board of Education made it clear, every member, save Diane Douglas, that they did not want to see those individuals fired. And they made it clear to the governor, saying, Governor, these are our employees, and we need to make sure that they function well. And the governor said, absolutely, if those are your employees, we're going to make sure it happens, and they're going to have an opportunity to function.
So it's almost similar to me saying, those Board of Education employees, you're fired. I mean, it's somewhat similar in that I don't have the authority,
Correct.
Neither did Diane Douglas.
Absolutely.
Hostile atmosphere, hostile work environments being charged on both sides. You surprised by that?
Well, I'm a little surprised at the accusations of Christine Thompson, who's executive director, Sabrina Vasquez, who's the deputy director.
Board of Education.
Board of Education's staff. They are very well regarded in the education and business community. These individuals are seen as very professional, very competent, and quite I'd say very mild-mannered individuals. So for them to create a hostile work environment. To be accused of that is a little bit of a stretch.
Verbal confrontations, an assault alleged?
Well, and again, if you saw those two ladies, I just don't believe that's I don't believe that's possible. I think it's a silly accusations that's being filed by some of the staff of Ms. Douglas.
But if let's say the staff of Ms. Douglas saw something that just didn't sit right to them, is the Department of Education authorized to discipline Board of Education employees?
Well, they're state of Arizona employees, and so there's certain standards that they have to hold themselves to, because they could be reprimanded under the authority of the State Board of Education. They could be reprimanded under the auspices of the Arizona Department of Administration, because they have a guideline of employees. So they have to adhere to those kinds of things. And certainly if there was any kind of bad actions by them, there's recourse that the state can take and individuals can take against them.
But not necessarily individuals at the Department of Education.
Well, they certainly can file.
They can report it.
They can file with the Department of Administration. I'm told that there is an investigation that's being underway by the Department of Administration to look into these things. But again, the things that I'm hearing from staff, both internally and externally, that are close to the department, are saying that that's kind of silly. Those arguments are, those accusations are not legitimate. Board
of Education, Department of Education, are they often adversarial? Are there often fights?
No. I've been involved with Arizona's education state policy since 1994. And I've never seen an environment quite like this, where you have a state board that really is not trying to be hostile to Ms. Douglas, is not trying to look for open warfare. All of these individuals are trying, and they're all volunteers, mind you. This is a volunteer position. I don't think they like the public scrutiny. I don't think they like this kind of acrimony that's taking place. They just want to do their jobs. And it's unfortunate that it's gotten to this point where in the media we're reading about these kinds of silly stories as opposed to them looking at the big picture of education policy.
There are critics out there, and critics, I think just the general populace looks at this and says this is a waste of public resources. This whole thing is ridiculous. Valid?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely it is. There's so many things that we need to be looking at and doing on behalf of public education in this state. And I think that's what Governor Ducey is trying to say. Governor Ducey is saying, look, Superintendent, State Board, we need to start working together because we have some big things we have to tackle. And for us to be dealing with this silliness is just that, silly.
If Diane Douglas tries to fire these folks again, would you be surprised?
Based on the actions, based on these accusations that's being levied by her and her staff, no, I wouldn't be surprised. I would be disappointed, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Last question. We're talking about, again, Department of Education, Board of Education. Why are you kind of inferred this earlier regarding the Constitution. Do they overlap? Why are two agencies like this necessary?
Well, the State Board of Education, again, is in our Arizona Constitution, and they are charged with overseeing state standards, of setting the standards for teachers and principals. All the teacher certification processes fall under the purview of the State Board. When teachers get disciplined, ultimately the State Board of Education can revoke teacher or principal licenses for bad behavior. All of that rests under the authority of the State Board of Education. The Department of Education is more, I would liken it to an administrator. They administer federal funds that are coming in, which is in the billions of dollars, Title I funds, special education funds, career and technical education training dollars. They are supposed to oversee the funds that the state legislature provides. They have a school finance unit. They also help with staffing on the assessments and everything that's under the purview of the state board.
So if you're keeping score here, it sounds as though the Board of Education, in terms of policy, more power than Superintendent of Public Instruction. And if that were the case, the governor, who kind of gets to choose who's on the Board of Education, more power than the Superintendent of Public Instruction in terms of education.
Oh, absolutely. Even when I was superintendent, I said my power is in the bully pulpit of trying to convince the State Board of Education of what the proper policy and what I felt was needed in order to further Arizona's education system. That's the power of a superintendent.
All right. Very interesting stuff. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Always fun to be here.
NFL quarterback Tom Brady will miss the first 4 games of the upcoming football season, and his team, the New England Patriots, will have to pay a $1 million fine and lose a number of future draft picks. It's all the result of Deflategate, a cheating scandal that raises a number of questions regarding sports and society. Joining us now is Brad Cesmat, CEO of Sports360AZ.com, an Arizona-based sports news platform. Good to see you, big guy.
It's always good to be with you, Ted.
All right, well, let's get going here. Now, your reaction to Deflategate, your reaction to the penalties.
They were extreme. They will go through the appeal process. I would be surprised if it was still 4 games when it's all said and done. I think that you may see this go very far in the legal end of things at some point. The agent for Tom Brady, his comments have been very much throwing gasoline on the fire along the lines of my client has been damaged. Tom Brady's the biggest name in the NFL, Ted. And so to take Tom Brady down, as Commissioner Goodell has done here for 4 games, what will the relationship be in the appeals process? Goodell, will he oversee it? His relationship with Bob Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, has been very close. Is that irreparably damaged? So there's a lot of moving parts here. 24 hours into the story, I still believe that we will see the appeals process go through by the first part of June, but it does bring up a whole lot of questions.
It does indeed. And if the first question is, what was the NFL's message in all this?
Don't cheat. And if Tom Brady turns over his cell phone, maybe you and I aren't having this discussion. But the fact that he decided to be so standoffish, I'll answer some questions, but the last thing I'm going to do is give you my phone. So you could go through that and see if there were text messages between myself and the Patriot employees. Now, the way that they went through this process, they could have gone to the 2 employees of the Patriots, looked at their cell phones, seen the text messages as well. So I think that Brady on that one came across looking like, I'm not going to cooperate, thus we're going to bring the hammer and bang you over the head with it, and that's what they did.
Indeed, the cover-up is almost always, often I should say, worse than the actual incident. But as far as the actual incident is concerned, was this cheating?
In my opinion, no. There is gamesmanship, okay? There's a line here, Ted.
Yes.
So when Charles Barkley was with the Phoenix Suns, what was Charles known best for on defense? Flopping. What do we see in the NBA to this day? Flopping. If you play defense and you lean on somebody and you step back and you look like somebody shot you out of a cannon, that's gamesmanship. Did Tom Brady intentionally cheat on this, or was this gamesmanship on the part of the organization?
Isn't it gamesmanship, though, when you can flop and I can flop? But in this situation, only, well, what we think is only Brady and his minions, or the New England Patriots, they were the ones who set a ball to a standard without anyone knowing. They messed with the equipment. It's something that the other team, in this case the Colts, couldn't have done. That seems like cheating.
Well, I had Jake Plummer on my show, and Jake said 10 years ago he was hit up by Tom Brady and Peyton Manning that we should have more say over the footballs and having access to the footballs. What is the difference over what Tom Brady did versus scuffing up a baseball if you're a baseball pitcher? Okay.
Right.
I've talked to basketball players. Eddie Johnson, the great shooter of the Suns, told me there are rims that were tighter on one end than the other. Basketballs would be inflated to a certain level back in the day. Tom Brady got caught red-handed. Tom Brady, because he is the biggest name that's out there. Ted, if this was the backup quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, nobody would care. Because it's Tom Brady, what do you tell your son who is in sports saying, I've got my number 12 jersey? What do you mean Tom Brady cheated?
Well, what do you tell kids about this incident?
I tell my sons and my daughters, I am your role model. He is not your role model. He is fine to watch out on the field. Now, there are a lot of kids that don't have 2-parent households, okay? This brings up a whole other avenue that we can discuss. And he had gamesmanship. He didn't play by the rules, thus he is set down. Do I think he intentionally cheated and laid there at night and said, I'm going to get over on somebody? Still had to throw the football, still won the game by a lot of points. Did he look for an advantage? Is there an advantage? And when you play sports, if a call is missed, if you're trying to find an advantage on your opponent, there are life lessons in sports. Not to get too remedial here, but there are life lessons in sports.
I want to get remedial here because I want to talk about the concept of cheating in sports and how it seems to have changed over the years. I remember when people used to berate Larry Bird because during a playoff game they gave him an extra foul shot and he took it, and they said they knew it was not fair, they knew that wasn't right, yet he did it anyway. I remember back in
Missouri
those days.
fifth down. I mean, I remember that in college
Exactly.
football. Danny Ainge was the most hated person. As long as he was on, if he was on the Suns, you loved him. But on any other team, he was hated because he grabbed and he tugged and he pushed and he did things that were viewed as, well, he's cheating, that's dirty. No, he found a way to work around the rules that the people that enforce those rules, the referees, didn't call it. Different sport, I understand, but he found a way to play through those.
Last question.
Sure.
Sportsmanship.
Yep.
Is sportsmanship still a part of sports?
Yes. Yes, but it's not a blanket statement now, Ted. There are teams that you look at. When the San Antonio Spurs rubbed Steve Nash into a wall and disfigured his nose, that wasn't sportsmanship.
No,
okay?
it wasn't.
It was not sportsmanship. But did they go on and eliminate the Suns? Yeah, and people of Phoenix were outraged by it.
That's my question. That sportsmanship took a holiday on that particular play.
There
Has
are-
sportsmanship taken a holiday from most of sports?
Let's go back to life lessons. There are times where things happen in life, off of sports and in business, that aren't fair. When the housing meltdown happened in our country, were those guys thrown behind bars? Did they cheat? Sure they did.
Yes, but that's my
And
point.
they weren't
cheated.
held. They weren't held to a standard. Okay.
And Mr. Brady's being held to a standard by the
Mr.
NFL.
Brady's being held to a standard, but I think that Roger Goodell overstepped it here. Ray Rice gets 2 games for dragging a woman out of an elevator and knocking her cold, and you get 4 games because there's too much air in a football? That makes no common sense to people.
Brad, it's always a pleasure talking. I miss our days on KTAR.
Well, bring me back. This is great.
All right. Good to see you, big guy.
Good seeing you, Ted.
Tonight's edition of Arizona Technology and Innovation looks at an innovation challenge co-hosted by the U.S. and Mexico. The event invited inventors around the world to come up with clean energy projects. Joey Eschrich is editor and program manager at the Center for Science and Imagination at ASU, which was involved in this competition. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much for having me.
Make Energy a U.S.-Mexico Innovation Challenge. What are we talking about here?
So the goal here was to get makers not just from the US and Mexico, but all over the world involved in creating new technologies and inventions that would not only draw our attention to the ways we use energy and how energy plays a role in our lives, but also to these larger issues of climate change and clean energy that are bedeviling policymakers and scientists alike.
And this was basically an invitation for do-it-yourselfers and tinkerers, huh?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, we've always been making things, but digital technology and the power of the internet has allowed makers to share recipes and how-to guides and videos and photos of their inventions and to really build on each other's work. And what this competition did is say, sustainability is a challenge that we're all grappling with, and how can we take the ingenuity of this globally networked community and direct it at this grand challenge?
And the grand challenge was won by a project that involved what homemade batteries? What are we what's this all about?
DIY AA batteries. And
that's what this is, right?
yeah, that's what you're looking at. You'd be kind of shocked at the ingredients. I was. Cardboard, metal washers, distilled water, vinegar, salt. It turns out there's no excuse for us not to be making our own batteries.
That is a AA battery.
Yeah, it's a functional AA battery.
rather-
And so a lot of these, and the AA battery was one of them, I think were inspired by the idea, what if we lost power for some period of time? We've seen blackouts in the United States and all over the world. as a result of emergencies especially. And a lot of these, whether it's charging your phone or creating batteries to power gadgets in your home that you rely on in these emergency situations, I think it's people sort of using this maker ethos to take technology into their own hands and say, we all have the agency and ability to harness these technologies and empower them ourselves.
Yeah, we all have the ability to make a solar oven, which was another winner. Talk to us about this.
That was our Spanish language first prize winner, and again, I could read you the ingredients, and they're surprisingly simple. But you know, in Mexico, they actually have a lot of forms of energy that are being used for cooking and heating homes that expel a lot of nasty stuff into the atmosphere, and so this is a concept that I think is born from a specific need. It's really use-inspired for the place it comes from, and it's an oven that runs completely on clean energy from the sun.
Interesting. Another project winner was making energy from weeds.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. This
Oh,
is
talk
one
to
of
us
my
here.
favorites. So it turns out that if you take weeds from your yard and aggregate them together with kind of common bacteria, you can sort of harness a chemical process to break down the weeds and create methane gas. And the folks who created this were actually able to replace some of the gas they used to sort of power the grill in their backyard, for example, with you know, the weeds that we all want to get rid of and we all want to truck out. You know, he was sort of using them to create this slurry that he could use for composting, but also to create gas that he was able to use to heat and cook and do all of these really functional and amazing things.
My goodness. All right, let's keep it moving here. We got a solar-powered ceiling fan.
Yep. This one was a gift, which I thought was really cute. So again, an area where, rural area, it's warm, it's a desert area, not a lot of power, and this person made this as a gift for a friend to keep her you know, living space cool. And it actually uses a treadmill motor, which I like. So the treadmill
really?
motor is the main piece, some really basic stuff that you could get at a hardware store, along with a 40-watt solar panel. So really consumer level products.
Yes.
And again, it just makes us feel so lazy for relying on things
Yeah,
that we
well,
buy, right?
of course we do, because I would hear about all these people making this stuff, and I think I just go to the store and hope for the best. Magnetic induction safety bike lights. What in the world is this?
Yeah, well, you're talking to someone with 2 humanities degrees, so this one eludes me a little bit, but it uses magnets that spin around a bike wheel and create that sort of LED safety light that's so helpful on the back of a bike to make you more visible to motorists. And I mean, it really works like magic. A lot of the winners here, they did such a great job using Instructables, which was the host for the competition. They're one of the leading maker websites in the world, and they use the sort of power and the format of that website to create these step-by-step guides with videos and photos. And I really like the bike light video. It looks like it's working by magic.
Yeah, in the old days, I remember they had like the friction would get the light moving on some part of the bike. That was back in the old days, though. This looks like it's all newfangled.
They're done with your old-fashioned friction. It's onto magnets now.
You talked about Indestructible.com. What is that?
So Instructables was one of our collaborators on this competition. This was like a huge collaborative effort among educational institutions, industry folks, think tanks, and as well as the Office of the Mexican Presidency, Office of the Mexico City Mayor, ASU, the New America Foundation, Green Momentum, which is a clean tech company in Mexico, Tec de Monterrey, which is a university, Autodesk, and several Mexican makerspaces. And Instructables is this website that allows folks from different parts of the world to share their inventions with each other, and in a real spirit of generosity that I find inspiring, to say, here's what I've done, here's how you can replicate it, and here's how you can take and iterate on it and make it better and adapt it to your context.
Well, congratulations on this. It sounds like a lot of fun, and it certainly brought up some interesting projects here. Good work. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
And Wednesday on Arizona Horizon, a debate over the state's new ban on bans of plastic grocery bags, and we'll hear about projections that the summer travel season could hit post-recession highs. That's at 5:30 and 10 on the next Arizona Horizon. That's it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thanks for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
ASU's Ira A. Fulton Schools of Engineering strive to advance research, education, and industry to transform our economy. Ideas, talent, and technology for Arizona. You can learn more at engineering.asu.edu/TV.